Hey there, welcome to Craft Central Designs. Today I have for you some very cute character ornaments, including a very cute penguin ornament made from a light bulb. If you love making ornaments, stay tuned. I have some cute ones to share with you today. Please don't forget to subscribe if you're not currently, and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy the content, and let me know which is your favorite of the ornaments. Okay, let me show you how I created these very cute character ornaments. We're going to begin with the snowman ornament made with wood blocks from the Crafter Square section at the Dollar Tree. These come in a 3-pack. Most every Dollar Tree I've ever been to has them. If not, probably you could order them on Amazon or pick them up at Hobby Lobby. Hobby Lobby has a couple of different sizes of those ornaments. Some of them are the bigger ones, and then they actually have more than a couple sizes. So you check out the wood department at Hobby Lobby. Okay, so I have here some sweater fabric. A friend of mine picked this up at a thrift store for 50 cents. Looks like it was a toddler's sweater vest. But she knows I collect this type of material at Christmas time, so she gifted that to me, and I really appreciate it. It's a very nice red sweater fabric. I'm going to be making a hat with that, and also, as it turns out, I'm going to make a scarf as well. I have here some black and orange acrylic paint to paint the face on. I have there a little white pom-pom for the hat, and this is a Christmas sock. Now, I thought I was going to do the scarf with this, but I ended up using red sweater material, but those Christmas socks are a great option for doing hats and scarves for your projects for Christmas. And often I pick them up at a place like Walmart or TJ Maxx or someplace like that. I have 3 very tiny little buttons that I picked up at Hobby Lobby. And I have some Snow White Waverly chalk paint, and I'm going to go ahead and paint all sides of my wood blocks with that Snow White Waverly chalk paint. And I'm wearing gloves because this is going to be very messy. But I'm going to go ahead and paint all sides and let those sit aside to dry. Now I'm going to be placing all of these wood blocks together to create a snowman. You're going to need as well for this project some scissors, Aleene's tacky glue, a hot glue gun. Okay, so I took the sock, the Christmas sock, and I just cut out a strip of that sweater material. Now, I wasn't able to get quite a long enough piece, which is what I really like to have for my scarves. I like my scarves to be really long, but this is an option if you're okay with a little bit of a shorter scarf. But anyway, so I went ahead and I did that. Actually, it would have been a really cute scarf, but anyway, just cut out a strip of fabric, no matter what you're using, whether it's like me, a sweater vest or a sock or whatever it is you have available. It's always a good option if you don't mind going to thrift stores to look for sweaters. If you're into doing Christmas crafts and you know you're going to be making some little hats and scarves. And you can pick that kind of thing up really, really cheap for your crafting. Otherwise, you can just pick up some socks at a store like Walmart. Okay, so I cut out a piece of that sweater fabric and I created a triangle. Now the base of that, or the straight edge of that triangle, just has to fit around the head of whatever it is you're creating. In this case, it's a block, or that wood block. So I just make sure that that base of that hat is going to fit around the head. Then I just create a triangle. Now I like my stocking hats long, so that they will fold over to the side, and then I place a pom-pom on the end of the hat for that very cute effect. So I just take a hot glue gun and run a stream of that right down the side of the triangle. And now this is completely up to you, how long you like your hat. The main thing is that the base of the hat that goes around the head, you just have to size it by placing the piece of fabric around whatever it is you're doing. But in this case, it's a block. Make sure it fits around with a little tiny bit of extra fabric to close it on the edges. So now I have my fabric all cut out and glued together to create the stocking hat for my snowman. Now, if you like to put a hat on your snowman, you could pick those up at Walmart. They have them in the section with the ornaments. They usually come like in a 4-pack. And those little hats fit perfectly on these wood blocks. So if you'd rather do that, or you could make your own hat out of that, I think it's called Silly Winks, that foam sheets that you can get at the craft store. Okay, so I took a pencil and I drew on my face. Now, if you're at a loss for how you want to draw on your face or what type of snowman face you'd like, just Google it and Google snowman faces, and it will give you lots of options. This is the one I chose with the little squiggly mouth, the carrot nose that's a little bit of a wavy carrot, and the eyes. I just draw everything on with a pencil, which is great because if you screw up your face, that didn't sound right, but if you screw up the face, you can just use the eraser to correct any errors. And then just paint it on with a fine line brush. Now I'm going to take my Elaine's tacky glue, and I'm just going to glue all of those blocks together. Now, I didn't put them perfectly straight in a line. I kind of just place them a little bit this way and that way. You do you, however you like to put yours together. And I set that aside and let it dry. Now I'm going to take my little pom-pom, which is one of those little tinsely, sparkly ones. Of course, you can get this at any craft store, as well as Walmart. And I'm just going to go ahead and place my pom-pom on there and let that dry off to the side. This is a very easy project to do, especially if you just purchase the hat at Walmart. It gets very easy if you do that. So I'm going to be placing a jute twine hanger on this snowman. So what I'm going to be doing is taking that jute twine hanger and placing it in between the block, and that's going to be coming up from the back of the snowman to hold that snowman onto the Christmas tree. And I'm just going to put that off to the side to let that dry. Now you could also use a thin ribbon for that. Okay, so I placed the hat around the head of my snowman. And I do like my hats to fold over on the side, and I just simply tack that to the side of the head along with a little dab of glue to hold the pom-pom right next to the head. Now, at this point, I still was thinking I am going to use that scarf. I put a little bit of fringe on the end with some cord. And at this point, I was trying to make it work, but it wasn't quite long enough, and it was a little bit bulky. I cut it a little bit thick, so be careful about that when you're cutting out your scarf. Make sure that you have the scarf at a thickness of that it will go around the neck of the snowman and fit well. I'm very picky about all of my projects, so everything is a big deliberation for me. I like everything just so. So it has to be perfect. Now, you may think, wow, that looks really cute. And actually it does, but I decided to do a red one. Mostly because the fabric was a little bit softer and not so bulky. So here I am making another scarf. I cut it longer. I want to say I cut it, around 10 inches. I folded it in half. Now this is the fabric from the sweater vest. And I just folded it in half, put a stream of hot glue down the scarf, and this worked out better. And I ended up cutting little fringes in each end of the scarf. And this is what I'm going to be using for the scarf that matches the hat on my snowman. Now, I thought about putting a little pom-pom on the end, and then I said, no. I cut the fringes right there. Just snip some little fringes on each end of the scarf. Now I have some little tiny buttons that I purchased in a pack at Hobby Lobby. You could purchase buttons most anywhere. And I'm going to be placing those down the front of the body of the snowman. So now I tied this scarf around my snowman, and I'm much happier because the scarf is longer and it fit better on the neck. So again, socks are a great option. Just cut your sock so it's narrow enough that it fits comfortably around the neck of your snowman. Now I do take a little dab of hot glue and I place the scarf just like I like it on the side. I kind of rippled it a little bit. And now this snowman is coming along very nicely with the little fringed scarf and the very cute hat. Okay, it's time for the buttons. Now I'm definitely not going to use hot glue on these because of the tiny nature of the buttons. I didn't want a glue mess on my snowman. So I just took a Lane Sticky glue, put the tiniest dab of glue on there, and I placed all three buttons down the body of my snowman. You could also use Elmer's glue for this. Even better because it has a very tiny applicator. I put a little snowflake on the side of the hat. Now you could put anything you like on here. You could put a little holly berry, holly leaves with holly berries. You could put a jingle bell. And so the last thing I did with this snowman is I wanted to place that hanger a little bit more flush on the back of the head so that the ornament would hang straight. But here you have it. This is my first character ornament, the snowman. I think it turned out super cute. And it was really very easy to make. Now, this is my penguin ornament. I'll tell you at the end which one was my favorite. So I took a Sharpie marker and I drew on the face. Now you can Google this and look for penguin faces. But basically what it is, if you look at it, it's kind of like a fat heart. That's the way I think of it. It's basically like a heart, but a fat one, if that makes sense. And at the point of the heart and the center, I just drew in a little beak, which I'm actually going to be making with felt, and some eyes. Now, if you make any mistakes while you're drawing this on, you could wipe it off. I used a little, the little abrasive pads that you wash dishes with. I used that and I got that right off because I made a few mistakes in the way that I drew on my penguin. So don't worry, if you make a mistake, you could just wipe it right off. So basically you have to have your design on before you can continue doing everything. Painting, creating the beak, everything. So I also drew in 3 button lines down the front, just so I would know where everything is going to go. Now, the first thing I did was I took some black acrylic paint and I started painting the body of the penguin. Now, I realized with the acrylic paint that it was going to take quite a few coats to cover this light bulb. I have to say, I've never done an ornament with a light bulb before, but I saw these on Pinterest and I wanted to try it because it looked like a really cute idea, especially for the penguin. And then I came up with this great idea because it was messy to paint, to use a clip from the Crafter's Square section, one of the large clips, and I could just hold it, the ornament, yes, well, it is an ornament, but hold the light bulb with the clip, and I could paint it and let it rest on the bowl, and it just worked out great. So the next thing I did was I decided, oh my gosh, this is going to take me forever to paint this over layer upon layer with acrylic. So I got out my Waverly chalk paint and the color ink, and boy, did that cover great. I ended up putting 2 coats of that on, and it looked really awesome. So I would use a chalk paint that covered the ornament much better. Okay, so you can see I'm letting it dry there. Now I have some black felt, and now I'm trying to create some, some wings on my penguin. So by trial and error, I created these wings just by holding it up to the penguin. I, of course, didn't want them too long or too short. So I basically started with an oval and then I created my points on my wings. And again, just by trial and error, I just kept holding them up to the penguin to get them the right length. And this addition to this ornament was so cute. Now, I didn't see that anyone used felt on the Pinterest ornaments, so I thought that was a great idea that I came up with to create the look of it. Now look how nice that black looks. That was, again, chalk paint, so I would use that right there. My chalk paint was rather thick because it was old, but I'm sure that if yours is a normal consistency chalk paint, it will work as well. Now, because the black worked so well in the chalk paint, I decided to use my Snow White Waverly chalk paint. Now, you see how I'm using a piece of a paper plate there? I don't know if you all do that, but I'm always looking for somewhere to put my paint. And what I do is I cut up paper plates in quarters. And that way I could just toss it out and then still have the other quarters to use for another color. That's just a little something that I do for when I'm painting. So I'm going to paint that all in. It took me a couple of coats. I painted around the eyes. I left all the features of the face on and just painted around that. Now I took a little bit of orange felt. I cut a little rectangular piece, folded it in half, and then I cut a triangle. Now this is going to serve as my beak. And again, I had to do trial and error, placing it up to the ornament, and then just getting the size right by trial and error. That's what you're going to have to do to create a nose for this piece. We're going to do the same thing for the feet. Again, so just cut a little rectangle, fold it in half, and then cut it into a triangle. And then I'm just going to be gluing that onto the face. Now for the eyes, I did take an acrylic paint because it was much thinner in consistency, and I used a fine line brush. I created some eyelashes. I put a little white light in the eye, and those eyes turned out super cute, just like a penguin. All right, so now for the feet. I cut a U-shaped piece of felt. And again, trial and error. I needed 2 of these for the feet. So you can see here, I had, what I'm doing is cutting little, I don't know what you call them. Are they toes? I'm not really sure, but you get the idea here. I'm cutting feet for the penguin. Whatever they're called, that's what I'm doing. So I cut the 3 little points because I looked it up on Google. What does a penguin's feet look like? So I came up with this design. And again, I started out with a U-shaped piece, and then I just cut the little, whatever you call them, the toes, whatever, you know what I'm referring to. And those I'm going to glue to the bottom of the ornament. I'm going to be placing a hat on this penguin, which I'm going to be cutting out from a Christmas sock. Okay, so I'm going to take some hot glue and I'm going to adhere those to the bottom of the penguin. After I get done trimming them up, the foot was a little bit too wide. And again, just have patience with the doing things like this because eventually you'll get it. Just cut off little bits at a time. And see how cute that's going to be along with the orange beak, which will add a nice color. All right, so I've placed my beak on the front of my ornament. Oh, it's so cute. I put one foot on top of the other. I glued those together just with a dab of glue. And there you have my feet that I'm going to place right on the bottom of my ornament. Little dab of glue. Press those on right down the center. I'm just loving this little penguin. It's turning out so cute. Now, if you want to seal the paint on this, you could do that after it's completely dry and before you put on the felt pieces with some type of clear gloss. It's up to you. Okay, so I'm gluing on the wings, and this is the point at which my penguins started becoming so cute. And I was really, really happy with it. From a light bulb. I've never done a light bulb ornament before, but I tell you, I think I'm going to do more of these. It was so much fun. Look how cute that is. All right, now it's time for a hat for my very cute little penguin. I love figuring things out. I love taking like an object and just figuring out how to transform it into exactly what I want it to be. Even with the trial and error, I love doing it. And I hope you find the joy in doing that as well, but mostly just the joy of creating something on your own that's so cute and that you're proud of, and that's very important. All right, so I have cut out a piece of that sock. Now, I leave it long because, again, trial and error. Whenever you want to make a stocking hat for something, be sure that the base, the part that's going to fit right around the head, is the right width. That's the starting place. That's what you do first. Then after you've decided that, which mine wasn't exactly right, it actually turned out to be too big and I had to make an adjustment, but I'd rather have it too big than too small because then you have to start over. But once you get the width of the hat that's going to go around the head, just cut a triangle, just like that. Now I'm just going to seal the ends or the edges of that hat with a very fine stream of hot glue, which again, as I mentioned, I had to end up resizing the hat a little bit. But this sock was just perfect and so cute for this penguin. It's just a red sock with a little white dots. It came in a pack of Christmas socks that I believe I had gotten at Walmart. Okay, so you can see here I had to make a little adjustment. So I had to cut it off and then re-glue the sides. That's okay. You can see it turns out to be kind of a funny looking triangle. But that's okay. It was an adjustment that took me only minutes to correct. And this hat turned out so cute on this penguin. Okay, so I'm placing the hat on the top of the ornament. Now it comes down to a little point in the back, but I actually like that. If you want it more rounded, you can make that adjustment by just cutting it, opening up the hat, and just rounding off the edges in the back. So I'm just going to take a tiny little dab of glue here and there to adhere that to the head of the penguin. Then I'm going to fold it over on the left side. I'm going to slouch that hat down or gather it down just a little bit on the top, and I'm going to place my little pom-pom on there which I like the bigger pom-pom, the little exaggerated one. I think that looks super cute on there. Fold it over to the left side. Now to keep that hat just where I want it, I put a dab of glue. And then just glue my pom-pom right to the little point on the hat and the body of the penguin. Now, there's lots of characters. Actually, you could take most any character and create an ornament with a light bulb. So I learned by looking on Pinterest. Pinterest is a place that I go for inspiration. Usually I see maybe an idea and then I add my own spin on it. And this one was fun. I have 3 tiny, tiny buttons there, and they happen to be black on one side and white polka dots on the other. Now, can you guess which buttons I'm going to place on the front of my penguin? I'm placing the polka dot ones. Yes, because I just thought it would look so cute. So here, I just took a dab of Aleene's Tacky Glue. Sometimes I do this if I want to glue something very tiny. And I take a toothpick, dip it in the glue, and place it on the front of the penguin, and place my little polka dot buttons. And this was such a cute touch on this penguin. Now, as you watch this video or any of my videos, even though maybe you don't intend to follow through and do the project, it's helpful to watch the process because along the way, you can learn so many tips and tricks of crafting. I've been crafting for many years, and I have a lot of those tips and tricks to share with you. Just saying, if you watch the videos throughout, you learn more than just how to make a project. You learn a lot of crafting tips and tricks, and they can really make a difference in your crafting. So just a word to the wise. That's how I learned to craft through the years, by watching others, but also just figuring out a lot of things on my own. Okay, so I decided to use a narrow black satin ribbon. I thought this would be a nice touch for the hanger. So I'm just going to hot glue that piece of ribbon that I created like a teardrop shape right to the back of the hat. And that's how I'm going to hang my ornament on a tree. And that is the last step in the process of creating this light bulb penguin ornament. And I just think it turned out so cute. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Okay, last but not least, I have here some live edge wood pieces that I purchased in the wood department at Hobby Lobby. I absolutely love live edge wood for signs and for ornaments. Now I'm going to be doing a very, very simple reindeer head on this live edge piece. Quite a number of years ago, I did this same one on a larger piece around 12 inches. And it was always one of my favorite Christmas decorations. I absolutely love it. So what I did was I drew, as I'm showing you here, some antlers, 2 round eyes, a round nose, which is going to be red, and a little round mouth. This is the simplest of simple drawings and very, very easy to do. You do not have to be artistic to do this. It's simply circles and then draw some antlers. Each of the antlers are different. They don't have to be identical. You just kind of curve the antler toward the top. Do a screenshot of it. Stop the video and do a screenshot and look at that and practice it if you like before you go drawing. But if you make a mistake, use the eraser. Very simple to do, but I love this. It's so simple, but yet so cute. So I wanted to try doing it because it's one of my favorites from the past on a small piece to create it as an ornament. So I have some little bits of greenery that are going to go on the upper left side of that ornament. Now, first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take a fine brush with a small head. Oh, no, the first thing I'm going to do is a little bit of shading. I'm sorry. So I have a paper towel there, and I have kind of a little bit of a bristle brush, and I'm just going to do a little bit of dry brushing on there. Now, you could do this part or not do this part. It's up to you. But I'm just creating a little bit of a paint foundation, if you will, by just dry brushing a little bit of brown over the top of the antlers and around the nose. This just creates a little bit of depth. Again, you could do this or not do this. It doesn't make a huge difference in the way that the piece looks. So I just make sure that I don't have a blob of paint on my brush. You see how I just brush it off, most of the paint onto the paper towel. But you can see this just creates a little bit of subtle dry brushing. And now I'm doing it around the nose to give the nose some depth. And then I'm going to take a paintbrush with a rather fine point, and I'm going to take some brown paint, and I'm going to start painting the antlers. Now, the antlers are going to be brown. The eyes are going to be brown. It's a simple circle. That's all it is. And there's a little tiny round mouth underneath the nose. Now you all can see this is very, very simple. You could practice by doing it on just a piece of paper with a pencil before you actually start to draw it on. Now I'm doing the eyes right there. And again, I'm using a fine point brush. I'm going to go ahead, continue to do the antlers, the eyes, and the mouth. And there you have it. How simple is that? I'm showing you the two little round eyes there and the round mouth. And you see how easy that is? It almost looks like a tree branch, doesn't it? You could think of it like that. Just curve it a little bit as it goes toward the top. And now I'm going to take some red paint. You can use any kind of red paint, chalk paint, acrylic, whatever you like. And first I'm going to outline the nose, and then I'm going to fill it in. Now later I do take a dry brush and just put a little swoosh over the top of the nose in white. And you'll see me do that in a bit. But there's my red nose. Now, this, like I said, the simplest design, but it's just super cute. I'm going to use a jute twine hanger to put on this piece, and I'm just going to simply glue that on the back. Now, I'm going to have a little bow on the top of the head. This is going to be a very small bow. This is a Hobby Lobby ribbon. I believe it's 7/8 inch, and it's wired. Now, I am going to make a little bow out of this ribbon, but you're going to see me have a little change of mind later on. But I think that a buffalo check or a little gingham check is perfect for this piece. This piece is to me, it's like you could use it on a traditional tree, or you could use it on a farmhouse themed tree, a rustic, or a country themed tree, if you're into themed trees. And this type of ribbon, a gingham check or a buffalo check, anything like that, is so perfect for that theme. So I just created a little 4-loop bow in the fashion that I normally do, creating 4 little loops, folding the loops over, pinching it in the center. And I did create a cute little bow, closing it with a little piece of black wire. When I do small bows, I try to use wire, not pipe cleaners. Again, that's a tip. Because of the bulkiness of the pipe cleaner. I created a little center loop, and I made this very cute little bow, which I didn't even use. But I save things like that. If I do something like this and I have a little change of mind, I just put it off to the side, and I generally find a use for it later. But you'll see what I'm going to use instead. I found a way to incorporate the 2 little gingham checks that I wanted to use in the first place. I wanted to use a black and white and a red and white gingham check. But I thought with this ribbon, it was going to be too much to incorporate all that into the piece, but I ended up finding a way to do that. But in the meantime, you saw me make a little bow. Now I'm going to be placing a bow, as I mentioned, on the top left side of this piece. Now notice how I chose my live edge piece. So I chose that so that I had, I guess you just call it the bark piece of the live edge piece. I had like a thickness of the bark on the top. Now those bags of live edge pieces, they come with a variety. Now, these were the oval shape, but they do come in round. And that also would be very cute to use if you happen to have those on hand, or if you prefer the round shape. You could do them as well in a round piece. I like the oval. That was my preference for this piece, but you do you. All right, so notice how I am placing some greenery around the top left edge. I'm sorry, the top right edge. Do I not know my left from my right this morning? Good heavens. I think I said left before too. I meant the right. Oh my goodness. Top right. Okay, Dwin. Left, right. Okay, so I placed a couple of pieces of greenery, different types of greenery, going 2 different directions on there. I wanted it poking up a little bit on the top right side. Yes, that's the right side, Dwayne. Hot glue will hold that. Place it on there. Watch your fingers. It might be helpful to use finger protectors when you do something like this. I've been working with hot glue for a really long time. Generally, I don't burn myself, but on occasion, I do. The worst burn I ever had throughout my years of crafting, I'll just tell you my little story. I was gluing something and I dropped a blob of hot glue on my leg. Oh my goodness. Has anyone ever done that? I had the piece, I was doing something on my lap, and I was holding up the piece, and I put some glue on there, and it dripped down onto my leg. Oh my God. Worse than any burn I've ever had on my fingers, I could tell you that. So I'm going off track here a little bit, but I just shared a little burn story with you. It had nothing to do with my fingers, but everything to do with my legs. So, okay, back to the ornament twin. Okay, so like I said, I placed a couple of different types of greenery on here. This one looks a little bit like sugary. I always call it that when it has like a snow effect on it. Just gluing everything on accordingly, and then you're going to see what I ended up using for my bow. Now, again, if you store your ornaments, this would be one of those types of ornaments. You may want to wrap it gently in a piece of tissue paper. I would not be throwing an ornament like this on top of a bunch of ornaments in a bin. Again, I think that certain ornaments deserve special care. This would be one of those. All right, so here I have some gingham check in black and white and red and black. This is what I really wanted to incorporate into this piece, a real farmhouse kind of country rustic vibe, being that I'm using the wood. And so this ribbon is, I believe, 7/8 inch, and it's not wired. So I had more pliability. Is that a word? Pliability? It was pliable. And it didn't have the wires, so I was able to incorporate both of those ribbons that I wanted to use by simply using a different type of ribbon. So I used a little piece of black wire. I created 4 loops in a figure 8 bow. So that for me, it's just creating over, under with my loops. You're going to see me do that here. Over, under, over, and under. And then just hold it in the center with my fingers. Now, again, that was a tip that I just gave you. If you use a wired ribbon, it's going to create a little more bulk. If you use a soft ribbon with no wire, you can accomplish something completely different, which is what I'm doing here. So I created 4 loops with each of these, and I'm going to adhere those together. Then I'm going to place 2 very small pine cones. I purchased those at Hobby Lobby in a bag. You can get them in the Christmas department or the autumn department. I looked for the tiniest pine cones that I could find in the bag. Now, I took a piece of that red and black gingham check, folded it in half, created a little strip of ribbon, wrapped it around those 2, and that's how I adhered them together. I put it right down the center, wrapped it around the back, and hot glued that right in the back. Now I finished off this bow, and it looked really, really great, all finished, and then I ended up putting pine cones on top of it, so that's okay. I really just love to finish my pieces in every way possible. If you follow my channel, you know I love detail, which, yes, does take time, but the end result is always fabulous. It seems the more detailed pieces that I do always turn out to be the cutest pieces that I do, or the prettiest pieces that I do. Okay, so I am going to be angling the tails of my bow, but now I'm satisfied because I was able to achieve those 2 different bow types or color types that I wanted on this piece. I love it. And I'm going to be placing that bow right in the center of my greenery. I cut the top tails shorter than the bottom. And I'm going to have my tails facing upward on this piece. Oh, look how cute that looks on the top of there. Up a nice blob of hot glue. Press it down, watch the fingers. Hold that till it dries completely. And then I'm going to place 2 little pine cones in there. Now this is a very simple ornament, so easy to do, very budget friendly. Think about filling your tree with ornaments that you make. It is so satisfying, and they always garnish attention. Anybody who comes into your home and sees your tree filled with handmade ornaments, it's a conversation piece, but it's also something to be very proud of. I always look at people's Christmas trees very closely when I go into someone's home. I love it if they point out to me the ornaments that they made. But that's just the crafter in me. I love that. Okay, 2 tiny ornaments. Ornaments, I'm sorry. 2 tiny pine cones. I'm going to be placing one facing downward, hot glue, of course, and one facing upward. You might think about what else you could do with these live edge pieces of wood, whether they're smaller or larger, whether they're oval or round. There are so many options for these pieces. So many cute ornaments you could do if you have a farmhouse tree or a country themed tree or rustic or a traditional tree. Now I did one other thing. I took a fine line brush. I outlined the nose with brown. And now here I am dry brushing a little swoosh across the top of the nose. And this was the finishing touch on this very cute reindeer ornament. I hope you love this one. I love it as much as the original one I did, which was a wall hanging, actually. But I made it the same way. This is just a little miniature one. I'm continuing to line the outline of my nose. I felt this gave it a little bit of definition. The only other thing I have to do is attach a jute twine hanger to the back of this piece. I am just loving this ornament. Just doing a little extra coat on the eyes. On the eyes, I ended up using about 2 to 3 coats just to be sure they showed up on that wood live edge piece. Now I'm just going to take a piece of jute twine, fold it in half. Just going to create a knot and leave a loop at the top. I actually created 2 knots, and those I'm going to just hot glue to the back of my live edge wood piece. Now, if you handmade ornaments, sometimes I sign the back of my ornaments. I would sign the back of this one, except I'm keeping it for myself. But you can put a message, or you could just put your name. And that way, through time, your name will always be on that ornament when it's taken out of the ornament box. Maybe ornaments are passed down through the generations. I just think that's such a lovely touch. And there you have the most cute reindeer head ornament. This is going to be adorable on a tree. And here you have it. We have the snowman, the reindeer ornament, so cute. Look at that, adorable. And the penguin. And now, if I had to choose, I love them all. If I had to choose, I think it would have to be that penguin. But I love them all, as I mentioned. And I'm hoping that you're going to leave in the comments which one is your favorite and which one you think you would like to make. Or maybe all three. Okay, until next time, you all take care.